Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we're going to be looking at one of my current favourite formations, which is actually the 4-4-2. It's a really good formation. It's something I've had a lot of really good success with over the last couple of weeks, and it's something I want to share with you, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this formation. But if you do have any questions, as always, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be feel free to answer all your questions as and when. So going straight into the 4-4-2, this is my custom tactics that we do use. So these are the tactics that I use at the moment, which are really successful for me, and something like I've said to you guys before, I don't recommend, if you're someone that likes to really fiddle around with your tactics, you're not someone that gets really set on set of tactics, it's something you really need to. You need to get on set on a certain set of tactics and don't change and don't vary too much, because the one thing that's key in FIFA if you want to get better is you need consistency, and this is something I've used these sorts of tactics for a while. I use balanced on defense and offense. Sometimes defense I change to press on possession loss if I'm playing someone who's maybe quite a good player and I feel like I need a bit of an edge. Playing on press on possession loss is a good idea because it's just something that maybe can be a little bit unexpected. Not a lot of people play with a press at the moment, so it's something that sometimes I can use and it really is quite effective and I catch my opponents out. But a lot of the time I like to just keep it stuck on balance. Width and depth, I really like to play on around 6. I like to play quite high on depth. I think if you don't play on a press, it's good to play quite a high depth because it means that your players are going to be a lot further up the field without you actually kind of going too crazy and making them go too far out of position. So I think it's a good thing to have. I like to play on 6. I find a lot of, it's very effective for me. Width-wise for me, I always keep around and anywhere from a range of 4 to 6. I always find is very effective. I don't like to go too high or too deep. I find 6 is works pretty well for me. I've kind of gone away from using long ball on the offensive style. Now for me, it's something, as you guys know, some of you guys that were with us earlier in the channel, earlier in the year, we used long ball a lot and it was really effective. I don't find as of recently it's been too effective. So I've kind of gone away from using it. I've kind of just gone back to using balanced, and I've kind of tried to rely on myself more than the game to kind of, because the game can be a little bit inconsistent sometimes, so you can only rely on yourself. So I've relied on myself to kind of try and create the chances more and triggering the runs myself. So if you would like to see a video on how to trigger more runs kind of more effectively, do drop a thumbs up on the video and we will get that made as soon as possible. And then players in the box for me, standard on 5, and then the corners and free kicks as always. Sometimes with the corners I like to just go 1 and just go completely short, but I think maybe something around 2 is kind of where I've stuck to recently, around 2 on corners. Not anything too crazy. I'm not someone that really crosses the ball in the box because winning headers is very difficult. So then going into our instructions, now we're going to start from the back today. We're going to start with the goalkeeper, which we've actually gone back to using ter Stegen. I've gone with comes for crosses and sweep keeper. The most important one I think is sweep keeper. For me, a lot of people that do like to play those kind of long balls in behind, you do want to have a sweep keeper. You do want to have your keeper try and come out and really clean up those balls, especially even though you do have some quick defenders, which we've got Militao and Varane. It's always good to have a sweep keeper that can come out and just clean up, because sometimes if you leave your keeper kind of on the basic and just on balance, sometimes those chances that do go and may end up in goals. Sometimes I've found that when I've used sweep keeper, it does kind of really clean up a lot of those chances, and I found it very effective. Moving up to the fullbacks, as always for me, stay back while attacking and overlap is something I always, it's kind of like a staple for me. I don't like using my fullbacks on balanced. I mean, I try with it every now and again, and the only time I really ever go on balanced is I'll change them if I'm in a game and I really need a goal, because I need to go a little bit more attacking in the game. But if the game is pretty even or I'm winning, I really like to just stay back. I always like to have that really solid back four. I'm not someone that really attacks too much with my fullbacks as well. So for me, stay back while attacking, it just ensures you always have a solid foundation. And the key in FIFA, key in anything you do, is solid foundation. And I think having the back four and stay back is definitely a critical thing when I play FIFA. Now moving into the 2 central midfielders, now arguably you could say these are the most important. For me personally, I like to have them on stay back while attacking, and that could be seen as being a little bit defensive, but I think for me it depends on your personnel on this position. I think if you're someone like, we've got Petit and Vidal, who are not the most attacking, especially Petit is definitely what you'd call a CDM. Vidal maybe more a box to box mid, but for me especially, I think this is where your personnel comes into it. When you look at we've got Neymar, we've got Mbappe, we've got Crespo, we've got Messi, we've got 4 quality attackers there. They should be enough against most people to score goals. So when you have quality attackers in your team, you don't need as many players going forwards. You know, you can afford to maybe be a little bit more solid, because I've got those 6, you know, the back 4, 2 mids that sit and they all defend, because I'm so not reliant, but I know that my front 4 are going to score goals, you know, because of how good they are. So I think if you're someone that's got really high quality players, you can afford to have the mids on stay back while attacking. If you want to be a little bit more offensive, you can just keep them on balance. You know, I've tried balance and it definitely works very, very well. If you've got 2 good box to box mids, using balance can work really well for you. Cover centre, of course, and everything else as standard. I don't like to fiddle around with the rest of it too much. Moving on to the wide players. Now for me, getting behind and getting to the box was the only 2 things that I changed on this. Getting to the box for me is something I like to use on my wide players, because I'm someone that does like to look for cutbacks and things like that. So using my wide players on getting to the box I find is really, really important. And getting behind, of course, if you've got quick players, which you should do if you're using wingers, always on getting behind. But other than that, you know, I have used obviously come back on defence sometimes in situations that have left and right midfielders. I don't feel like it's necessary. I found the 4-4-2 is actually pretty good and pretty solid in defence. You know, it's pretty easy to use. And I find it's very, very solid already, so I don't think it necessarily needs. And given the fact we've got the 2 CDMs on sitting, stay back while attacking, I don't think we need the wide mids to go back as well. So I think balance. You could even try stay forward. I think that's, you know, a little bit too over the top. So for me, balance works perfectly. And then moving up front to the 2 strikers. Now for me, obviously we've got Mbappe and Crespo, 2 very, very good strikers. Now stay central for me is something I always use, especially if you've got width in your team, which we obviously have left and right midfielders. You don't need any more width. So I think keeping them on stay central is fine, because they'll give the width out on the wings. Getting behind again for me is something that if you've got quick players, you know, like an Mbappe, a Crespo, you know, an Aubameyang, a Son, any quick strikers, obviously getting behind is the way to go. And for me, I actually found that using stay forward is really, really effective on these 2 strikers. You know, especially if your opponent is really pressing you and getting in your face. When you have 2 strikers up front, both on stay forward, they can play off each other as well. And it means that counter-attacking is not such a bad thing, especially if your opponent's really pressing you. It means you've always got 2 players up front. A lot of the time you'll find that you're maybe 2-on-2. Your 2 strikers can work off each other, and especially if you've got really quick strikers and your opponent's maybe not the best defender, or maybe he doesn't have the best defenders himself, you can find that really counter-attacking with 2 strikers, especially on stay forward, is something that I found was very, very effective. But that is it for the 4-4-2. Now for me, this is a very good formation. It's not necessarily my formation that I play with straight away in a game, but it's definitely, this is always a formation I go to if maybe my original formation, you know, the 4-3-2-1, the 4-2-3-1, if I'm struggling. This is a formation I always switch to if I need a goal, and it always comes up clutch and it always gets me a goal, and then I'll switch back to the formation that I was using. So this is a great formation to use if you want to get a goal and get back into a game. It's something that is very, very effective, and I've found a lot of success with it so far. So if you do want to see any more formation vids, and if you do want to see more tutorials on the channel, which I think we're going to be doing a lot more tutorials and maybe a few less formation vids going forwards, and a few other ideas that I've got. If you do want to see more of that and maybe some less formation vids, do drop a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comment section any other content you'd like to see on the channel, you know, kind of relating to gameplay sort of thing. I know some people would suggest squad builders. It's kind of not what we do. Something we may look at a bit more next year in FIFA, but I think this year we want to keep it more gameplay related, and we'll maybe look at doing some player reviews and some squad builders more next year in next FIFA. So if you've got any ideas, do drop a thumbs up on the video and let me know in the comment section. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel and found this useful. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.